We have been camping and overlanding as a family for the past 5 years, and I can't stress enough the positive experience it has made on our family. And if you're watching this and you have a love for the outdoors and you want your family to enjoy that with you, well, today I'm going to cover a couple things that we have learned over the years that have made our experience more enjoyable. So stay tuned. First off, if you're new to this channel, my name is Matt, and we're a camping, overlanding, off-road, adventure-based channel. Ultimately, the goal of this channel is to share our stories and hopefully inspire you to take your families outdoors and grow together and build those awesome memories that will last a lifetime. I took some time and made some notes, and I'm going to start off with probably one of the biggest pieces of advice is just to slow down. Often we try to book too much, whether it's going to a designated campsite and you have a list of agenda items that you're trying to accomplish, or if you're going on some level of road trip and you're trying to hit certain, camping spots throughout the trip and you have to get so far. All of that, can potentially set yourself up for failure, right? So if you don't get so far, if you have car troubles, or if, the kids want to get out and stretch and you're just not making the miles that you want to make or get to the destination that you want to get to, it kind of has that domino effect and you have to make up ground. So we generally like to, especially when we're going on some of these longer trips, we kind of have areas that we want to go when we have some ideas of campsites, but the reality is we just see how the day goes, and as we're getting close to camp, we start, whether it's booking or trying to find that, that boondock space that's kind of in line with where you want to stop. A general rule that we use is we try to keep our miles about 300 per day. So it is pretty slow, especially for some of the ones that want to really head out far out west, or, that really have to rack up some miles. But what that allows us to do is we can ease into the morning. We can have breakfast as a family. Maybe the kids can get a little exercise. We load up, we drive, and then at lunchtime, we'll slow down and maybe take an hour for lunch. Let the kids play in a playground, stretch the legs, and then get back in the car and then continue to about dinner time, 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we're looking for camp. And that just gives, when you show up to camp, it gives time again for the kids to unwind. We can set up camp, we can ease into dinner. And although you don't get very far very quickly, it does allow you to enjoy the trip, at least in my opinion, enjoy the trip much more just because you're going at a steady pace. All right, my second tip is to be flexible. So we talked about, allowing some space within your trip with a loose agenda, taking your time. Well, also be flexible, be spontaneous, let things come to you. So, if the kids are enjoying a certain experience, on a playground, it's okay to spend that extra half hour in that playground before you jump back in the car. Or if you're at camp and there's a really cool swimming space and the kids are enjoying playing in the sand, it's okay to allow those moments to happen. Or if you're on the road trip and you see a detour that you want to take, again, you have time to do that and you can be flexible. My best advice in this is let those experiences come to you instead of you trying to find those experiences. And my third tip is to build in some routines. So my first two tips I talked about being, flexible and have a loose agenda, taking your time. Well, it's still important for both adults and children to have some level of routines through the day, just to kind of keep that structure. So whether that's, maybe brushing your teeth in the morning or brushing your teeth before you go to bed, even mirror some of the things that you do at home. So whether, that's congregating around the dinner table, that everyone comes in, maybe that's a time, so maybe you can build it in that at 5 o'clock, you're going to have dinner. So I think that's important when you're functioning in this flexibility, that you still build in some routines so the children feel safe and that they can kind of adapt to this ever-changing camping and atmospheres every day, right? They're experiencing something different. So it's important that we give them something consistent that they can feel at home with. And my last piece of advice is bring some creatures of comfort. So we typically, depending on the scale of the trip, if it's smaller trips, we'll usually let the kids get a gallon size Ziploc bag and they dump it full of whatever toys or things that they want to bring with them. So we try to, give them their space, their things that they can bring with them. For Matthew, a lot of times it's cars or little figures, and he loves to take those and start, playing in the dirt or whatever the surrounding area is. Caroline likes to bring, whether it's Barbies or dolls or things like that, along to the trip because she likes to build her fairy houses. So typically when we get to, like camp, we let them just get out of the car because, maybe it's been 2-3 hours. The only goal is for them to have fun, stretch their legs, play, explore camp, learn the area, find where different things are or little cubby holes, build some, forts and things like that. So when we get to camp, they have their little bag of toys that they can play with, or they can have it within the car when they're driving. So I think that's important just to have those, that little bag of their dedicated toys. In addition, bring some of those comfort things, whether that's a blanket or a stuffed animal. That's all things, again, just to give that level of security when you're away from home and you are seeing all these different places. Again, just to give that sense of security when you're out exploring. And probably the last tip I'll say is, have some activities that you can do. Now I mentioned like the fairy houses, that's something that has evolved over the years, but typically we'll show up to camp and, Matthew will go scavenging for the little rocks and pieces to help Caroline out, and we'll stumble across things and we'll bring that in. But it's a fun activity when we get to camp. On top of like bringing a deck of cards, like we'll play Uno or a board game, play Sorry. Just have some activities planned. Maybe it's one of those nature scavenger hunts. There's plenty of resources online, or just go out there and explore and open your eyes and kind of play a tic-tac-toe board of, the different, or bingo board of all the different nature things that you find. Painted rocks, we like to do that, right? So we got little rocks and they'll put little, drawings on the rocks. Again, just have some things in your back pocket so when the kids are getting, a little loose and they need something to do, you have something for them to kind of dig into and roll up their sleeves and play a little bit. So that concludes my list of things that I feel, again, generalizing, that have helped us explore as a family. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, make sure you smash that thumbs up. It really does help the YouTube. Also, drop a comment down below of maybe some ideas or suggestions that you do as a family that have really worked, because I would love to read those comments and even potentially try some of them with our families. Thanks for watching Fries in the Side, where adventure is served. And if you want to check into our Colorado trip, check out these things. We just had an awesome trip out west, and I'm halfway through the edit. I've got so much more to share, but I think there's like 5 or 6 videos. Check them out.